All right, guys, welcome back. We are looking at the Pixie family today for Second Awakening purposes. I'm trying to decide what I want to Second Awaken, how many monsters I want to Second Awaken before I start scaling up. So I figured some people are having similar questions. So we're going to look at all the Pixies, talk about their skills, and decide which ones are worth Second Awakening and which ones maybe are not. So let's get started. First Pixie is Fire Pixie Tattoo. Attack type monster, great base speed. Everything else is not great. Like, I've never actually looked at a 6-star tattoo before. I didn't even know its name was Tattoo. But if this is the base speed, the base stats on Second Awakening, I can only imagine how terrible the base stats are before. So for all you tattoo owners, let's see what we've got going on here. So this is a glance and a dot. 85% chance on skill 1. Pretty good activation on a skill 1, but glance and a dot is what you're getting there. Skill 2, this is a dot. A 2-turn cooldown, 3-turn dot. So I'm sensing a trend, right? She's a daughter. Number 3, blows up the dots to inflict the damage of the dots. So she is damage over time Ciara, right? It's on a 3-turn cooldown. So the cooldowns are basically non-existent. It's kind of crazy. So what can she do for you? She can dot, blow up. Granted to inflict damage that's equivalent to the continuous damage. So I'm not sure if that means, okay, a 3-turn dot hits for 5% more because each dot is 5%. A 2-turn dot hits for 2 turns worth of dot, so that'd be 10%. This would be another 15%. Is that how that works? If these 2 dots combined are 25% health, that'd be kind of cool. I'm kind of curious to see how that works because it could be pretty nice. There's a lot of dotting monsters, and she's fast enough you can make her go kind of whenever you want. She's real easy to speed tune. Probably not so easy to keep alive, but I would say easy to speed tune. So maybe you do a Rika, Homunculus, just use up all those slots on dots and just blow them up. My guess is, and I haven't tested this, but my guess is it doesn't incorporate the turns left on the dot to deal that much damage. But it might, I don't know, because Beretta's dots, I think, are 3 turns each. So if it does that, you could potentially 1-kill an entire team. But I don't think it probably would do that. But maybe it does, who knows. So that's Tattoo. Very weird, kind of different. I don't think we've seen anything like that. Not as uninteresting as I thought it was going to be, so that's kind of nice. Let's look at Casey here. It's Glance. It is a AoE, Defense Break, and Speed Break. I don't think we have that combo. I don't think I've seen that combo before. That's kind of neat. It's 100% activation, 100% attack, and defense break. And by attack, I mean speed, because that's the word I mean. All right, and then we've got here, summon shooting stars that attack randomly, block beneficial effects. The inflicted damage increases as the same target gets hit again. Okay, so it doesn't say exactly how many shooting stars, but it's a beneficial effects block. Not useful if they already have will, right? This is the one that's interesting. The 3-turn cooldown, speed, and defense break. Her base stats look pretty good. I mean, the defense is a little low, but the HP is pretty good. Interesting. This also is not terrible if you need an AoE defense breaker. I mean, it's a kind of a weird bruisery defense break because you're slowing them down. You know, you're not going to like cleave them or anything like that because it doesn't have attack buff. Huh. So there is some use there. It's just kind of odd, but definitely fills a niche that has not been filled before, which I think is cool. All right, Miss Shannon. Everybody knows Shannon. Here is her Glance plus Bar Absorb, which is pretty nice. Bar Absorb being better than Bar Decrease because it's 15% off your opponent, 15% plus to you. So when it works, it's a 30% net bar gain. It's just spread out between your opponent and yourself. So goes up to 85% chance to glance and 85% chance to steal 30% of a bar, which is pretty neat. I mean, net 30%, right? I think that's a really cool first skill. It was pretty good before. Now it's really good, I think. That's a really good first skill. Yeah. All right, Decelerate has changed a little bit. This one, I think, is sort of undervalued, the change. So let's take a look at it. It's always been decrease their attack speed for 2 turns, which is great. But the Absorb now absorbs their attack bar by 10% with an 80% chance. Skills up to 100% chance. Absorbs their attack bar by 10%. If you're doing an RTA, that's 10% times 4. It's 100% chance to activate. It just needs to go through the resist check, right? So 10% bar times 4 people is 40% bar for Shannon, minus 40% bar for your opponent's team. So it's a net 80% bar. It's almost a whole turn net, which it's debate. It's not as good as taking an entire turn from the monster you really want to take it from, but overall it's great for turn cycling. 30% bar, 80% bar, and then her skill that I think makes her really nice, increases the attack power and defense of all allies for 3 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. 3-turn buffs are rare, and double 3-turn buffs are, I can't think of much. Bastet's does it. It's a shield though, so it's not a straight stat buff. It's like extra HP and then attack. So 3-turn buffs, really, really, really nice. I don't know. Her stats are good now. Her stats were what was holding her back, because the things she does are super useful and effective, but it was always her stats holding her back. So I don't know. Her base speed is silly. The thing I could see her being used for is what I like about this in an RTA perspective, which is kind of how I think of things, is what if I have a defense-based damage team and an attack-based damage team, right? And I want to mix and match. So let's say I'm cool doing, I don't know, Copper, and I'm cool doing Odin, but they require different buffs to function. Shannon says, no, we're good. Attack, defense, whatever, mix and match, whatever fits your situation best. I don't know if that's in any way viable, but it's interesting to me. You know, you run Shannon, you run a single target buffer. It can be any buffer now, right? You could run Rakuni, because you've already got attack and defense buff, unless you need something like crit buff or something like that. You're covered on the damage increasing portion, you know? Okay, so let's say you run Shannon, you run Rakuni or Dova or whatever. Dova will be another attack booster. You boost up Covenant, or you boost up Bulldozer or whatever, and the booster isn't required to give the stats. That's kind of, in my mind, where this might be useful. I don't know. 20-star, of course, really, really great. 4-star or lower RTA, I would say, also really great. It's unfortunate she's wind, because so much of the good stuff is wind, and everybody has wind counters built because of Lucian. But I don't know. That's a lot of talk about Shannon. Let's move on. Here's Cheryl, which, looking at the models, they're all pretty good. I think Cheryl's is maybe my favorite. It's a little bit of like pink at the end of the wings. It's pretty nice. So anyway, this is Cheryl. Support stats, very similar to Shannon. Very similar. She's got the glance, just glance. She's got the remove the target's 1 beneficial effect with an 80% chance and inflict continuous damage for 3 turns with a 100% chance. So you're skilling up the 1 target buff removal, and it's 1 enemy. Remove a buff, give him a dot. This one is revive a dead ally and fill up its the ally's HP by 15%. Revive another ally with 30% chance, which I'm assuming is also 15% HP. All skills are ready to be used. So I've seen some talk about this in related to enemies that self-revive. So hey, if you have Holy Call and you have Tyrannus or Perna or Vanessa or whoever, that's strictly better than reviving a Leo or something like that. Though, you know what? Now that I say Leo specifically, 15% HP plus Leo. The only bummer here is, yeah, the skills are ready to be used, but the attack bar is 0. So you have to survive for 15% HP, and you've already been revived, which revive is usually a pacing issue. You're behind anyway, and so you're revived, but you're behind, so your enemy nukes them back down, and then you're still behind. But that's some interesting utility, a potential double revive. I don't think there's many uses for a double revive where Cheryl's alive, she double revives, and suddenly you're great. Maybe there are, it just doesn't seem super likely, but that's what she does. And then here's Cameron. Looking at the base stat, she's an attack type monster, so over 800 attack, low HP, lowish defense. We've got the glance here, just glance. This is the attack speed down, and increases their skill cooldown time by 1 turn each with an 80% chance, which scales up to 100% with skill ups. So it's a slow, which is always nice, especially if you have speed up, and a 1 turn skill cooldown. So think Fairy King's second skill, where it boom, hits them, 1 turn cooldown. If you can nuke before they get a second turn, 1 turn cooldown is the same as infinite turn cooldown. If you can cool down Perna and kill Perna, you don't care if it's cooldown for 1 turn or for forever. So that's pretty nice, especially being AoE, gives you some options there. So that's pretty nice. The third is, well, let's see if the skill ups here. Yeah, so both of these increase harmful effect rate. The third skill is attack the enemy 3 times with spirit balls, having each attack to increase the skill cooldown for 1 turn and recovers the HP by 50%. So I don't think the HP recovery is super important because I can't imagine her being crit damage attack. But in theory, you can cool down the enemy you select for 3 turns worth of that skill. I'd say 3-turn skill cooldown is about the same as a full skill cooldown. I mean, it's maybe 1 or 2 turns worse than the best ones, but not bad. You have a high chance of cooling them down at least 1 turn because you're attacking 3 times. But the odds of, conversely, the odds of cooling them down for the full 3 turns are not great. So that's kind of what she does. So what do we think about these Pixies? So weirdly, Tattoo doesn't seem insane. It just depends on how she works. I don't think she's anyone's first priority because no one's going to be like, okay, so I need to remove all the will and then dot them up and then blow up the dots. Like, if you bring Tattoo in any situation like that, in theory, they can ban Tattoo and be fine. So I don't think she's any high priority at all for anyone. If you need this, the speed, slow, and the defense break, maybe. But again, I don't know that I see her being good enough to second awaken. I think Shannon is one of the viable ones. I will probably build her. I think it'll be tempting for people to build her because they already have her skilled up and 6-starred. But again, not really super relevant for PvP. If you need her for PvE and you can do some of the second awakening, I don't know how many people that description fits, but you know, you second awaken your Bella, spoilers, we're getting there, and you second awaken your Shannon, and suddenly your Giants team is way better. It's kind of cool they included her there. So she's a maybe. Cheryl is a toy and also a maybe. I'd say Dark is also a maybe toy. What would I do in this order? I personally would do Shannon. I don't know if it's correct. And then I don't know that I would do either of these two. I might do these if I had just extra time and I didn't want to farm runes. But I don't know that any of the Pixies are essential or are so much better that they creep into the meta in any significant aspect. So that's kind of my thought on the Pixies. Shannon's a maybe. They're all kind of toys. These 3 are the ones that I think offer the most unique toyness. I've seen this a couple times in my guild, so some people are playing with the skill cooldown. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. So hopefully that was useful to you guys. We will move on to the next type of monster here in the next video. If you're thinking about a Pixie, let me know how it goes. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, everybody.